In a previous video, we shared with you an area at the front of our RV property that we seeded with clover seed. Now on that project, we just hand sowed the seed, nothing special, threw a little dirt on top of it. We put a sprinkler out there and been watering it, and the clover came up, and you'll see in the other video how it turned out. Now in that video I mentioned we had another area, which is actually right behind me, that was more important to us and one we take a little bit more care with. So let me show you what that looks like. And this is the area we're talking about. It's right behind our RV and right to the side of our casita here, and our patios up there. So we really want to make this as nice as we can, or at least relatively nice. So this was really dropped off, had a huge steep area. We brought in about 15 yards of fill dirt and kind of smoothed it out, made it gradually tie into that hillside and tie into what there is of a little bit of lawn over there. And then we brought in 4 yards of topsoil, which was not enough, but we're going to make do. So we brought in 4 yards of topsoil. We spread that out pretty thin in areas, but it is what it is. We're going to make do, like I said, and it made it this far. Now that section you see there, we're either going to wait till fall before we head south for the winter, or we'll wait till next year to do that. But we're going to concentrate on this. So we put the topsoil down. We ordered a 5-pound bag of micro clover off of Amazon because we couldn't find micro clover in the town we're in. So we ordered that on Amazon, and we are going to seed this. Now on the other project, I hand broadcast all that seed, and it didn't really matter because it's just kind of to fill in the bare spots we had out there. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link right up here somewhere. You can click on that and go check that out, see how it turned out. And but this one, we went in town, we bought a crank spreader, so it's a handheld crank spreader. Again, nothing great, but it's better than doing a hand broadcast. We're going to probably today, I'm thinking, or tomorrow, we're going to seed this and start watering this and see how it turns out. So why don't you follow along with us. On the other project up front, if you saw that video, the clover germinated and started sprouting in 9 days. So that wasn't too bad, because everything I read, it said between 9 and 30 days. I was dreading 30. I'm really curious how this micro clover does. So you'll see how it does. Before I go any further, let me show you what we have going on here. So the clover we picked out is the mini clover, and it's by Outside Pride. And as you can see on the back here, you probably can't see what it says, but it says to do 1 to 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Now the area that we have to do outside is 1,300 square feet. So what I'm going to do to begin with, because I haven't used this spreader yet, this is a spreader we picked up. It's a Scott spreader, has 5 settings. Even on the smallest setting, it sends out quite a bit of seeds, I'm thinking. So I'm just going to weigh the Scott spreader, zero it out, and I'm going to put in 1 pound of the seed. Let me show you the seed real quick. You can see, very pretty. It's a nice purple colored seed, very small though, so I think it's going to come out of the spreader very fast. So just to test it, I'm going to put the spreader on this food scale. I'm going to zero it out. I'm going to put in 1 pound of seed. I'm going to go out and see how that spreads, and then I can adjust things from there and put in another pound. And I think what we're going to do is do 2 pounds and spread that over the 1,300 square feet and see what we think. And then we're going to water it in and go from there. All right, there we are. Just a tad over 1 pound. That's what it looks like inside the spreader. We're going to go out and start with that and see what we have. That's not a lot of seed in that spreader. Let's go see what it does. So at the pace I went, that was 1 pound. It emptied out. I didn't get this last little area right here. So I'm going to put 1 more pound in. I'm going to start here this time and just reverse and do it again, and that should be good, I'm hoping. Another empty container. Now, full disclosure, totally, I did it just under 2.5 pounds because it is 1,300 square feet and it is fresh soil, and the soil isn't the best in the world once you get down deeper. So, and we do want this to be nice and full. There you go. Now let's just wait and see. Diane's getting the water ready over there. She's going to sprinkle it in, and we'll just go from here. Now we do have two non-fancy sprinklers. One's being used out front on our patch job with the clover project in the other video I talked about. And then we do have an oscillating sprinkler over there behind Diane. But I think off the get-go, she just kind of feels like watering it in by hand a little bit. And then we will set up the other sprinklers on timers over here. And that's how we'll just deal with it. At this point, it has been 9 days since we seeded this area. Let me spin you around and show you what we have going on. All right, so here's what it looks like 9 days in. Now, I'm not going to be able to get out in the middle and show you what that looks like because we've been watering and I don't want to walk out there. But at 9 days in, you can see that there is some growth. You see the clover coming in. I'm just going to go around the edges and you can see the clover coming up all through another section there. And now this area here was kind of rough, so even though we didn't do much to it, you can still see the clover is coming up. I don't have high hopes for it in this area right away, but there is clover coming up through here all the way around the edges. Now at this angle, I don't know if I can zoom in the video, but really it's really coming up nice over there as well in the middle. All through there, it's looking pretty uniform. That hand crank spreader has done a pretty good job. I'm just going to go around the edges here. You can see what it looks like. And now what we did is we have one oscillating sprinkler here that takes care of this. We had one gear driven sprinkler that takes care of that area over there pretty well. We put it on a 2-station timer, just a cheap little timer. And we water it twice a day for, I don't know what I have it set for. And then there's some areas it doesn't reach over here in the corner and back over here that I just take a hose and I water that in a little bit. So nothing very scientific at all, but there you go. I'm pretty happy. You can see some critters made their way out here. I think it was a rabbit. See the clover out there? Not bad. Let me go up behind the coach here real quick. Show you this area as well. Look at that. That's coming in nicely. Not bad. So that's after 9 days. And really, the 9 days of weather wasn't that great. We had a couple days of rain, which was good. I didn't have to run the sprinklers. But there was no real sun. So 9 days of not a lot of sun. Starting tomorrow, we're going to start getting a lot of sun. I think this is going to pop pretty well. So, I'll come back and show you what it looks like in another 9 days probably. So at this point we are now 18 days since we planted the seeds in the backyard area. Let me spin you around and take a look. Alright, here we are. You can see the greenery out there. I have no idea why it didn't take as well here. It is growing, but it's pretty sparse. That's alright. We plan to reseed anyway. I'll just walk around a little bit and you can kind of take a look. Now this is the micro clover. You know, it looks a little different than it does out front in the other projects we have going on with just a regular white Dutch clover. There we go. I wish it was about 10 times thicker. Looks good out there though. Let's walk around here. Let's walk around the edges real quick and give you a look. I think because we didn't have a landscape rake, we just used a regular garden rake. I get those little indents there. I think the seeds caught up in that. Whether it was just the way it was watered, I'm not sure. And this doesn't get hit as much with the sprinkler. Oh, I need to wait a minute. That sprinkler's going to come around and get me. There we go. But there we go. Some critters come walking around. It's growing. And down here, same thing. Sprinkler didn't really reach this far down here, so I expected that to happen. And we will touch it up as we go. But eventually it will all fill in. Another critter tried to make it up there, looks like. Turned around. We're out in the country. We have them all. Rabbits, turkeys, squirrels, coyote, cougar. Anyway, there we go. 18 days in. We'll come back in another 9 days or so and we'll show you where we're at that point too. Hang around. Well, it seems like real life has gotten in the way and got us away from doing our weekly updates on the clover behind us here. So now we are 7 weeks from the time we planted it. So 49 days in. Take a look back here. I'm going to spin you around. We'll take a look at what we have going on. Okay, here it is. 49 days in, 7 weeks. Now, as I mentioned before, we're not looking for a Wall Street tycoon quality yard here. We're looking for maybe a cowhand yard, something like that. Just something that looks green and looks nice. And I'm going to point out a few things that will become obvious as we walk around. Number one, we're not using high quality sprinklers. We have some sprinklers stuck off in corners. We have hoses run to a little timer. The sprinklers don't hit the edges 100%. We went skimpy on the topsoil, so it looks really nice up in here. We put majority of the topsoil up here. We ran thinner down here. We ran real thin down there on topsoil. So again, this is far from perfection. I will also point out, it's probably pretty obvious already, we have not mowed this yet by design because we've been keeping it pretty well watered. So it's been soft. The only mower we have is a riding lawnmower. I'm not about to run a riding lawnmower over this and cause all the ruts by keeping it watered all the time. So we're getting ready to find a nice lightweight, not very expensive, battery operated lawnmower so we can start cutting this down. And then what we're going to do as well is we're going to come over here before we leave for the winter, because we're going to seed that area down there before we leave for the winter. And we're going to work on this and seed this before we leave for the winter. So we're not too concerned about the fact that there's bare spots down here and bare spots down here, because we'll just work that again and tie it into that part of it when we do that. But you know, this up here doesn't look too bad. I did throw some extra seed down. We have some new starts coming in here to kind of take care of the bare spots. But it's just a nice green area compared to what it was from the beginning. And then before we leave for the winter, we'll throw more seed down here and let Mother Nature do its thing. And right here behind the coach, same thing. So as you can see, it's been running hoses. Now, that sprinkler down there, I just added a couple weeks ago. So really, we only had 2 sprinklers doing anything here. So it hasn't been very top shelf process. And there's a bunch of weeds growing in there. And I have gone out here a couple times. We walk out here, we'll pick some of these tall things, just pick the weeds out by hand. But you know, it is much nicer than what it was, even though, you know, compared to a nice, well-manicured lawn, it's not there. All right, there you go. That's this project, well underway. Hey, if you enjoyed this video at all, how about a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, consider hitting that subscribe button. As always, have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.